Hello YouTube, I'm Dark Vanguard Ren, actual name is Edison. I'm bringing you an update on my granblue deck, at least what I have for it so far. Yeah, so, without further ado, let's begin. For my granblue deck, I run Undying Departed Grenache. Grenache, he's a Forerunner, for those of you who know what a Forerunner is. He also has what's known for this particular clan as Hollow, which means he dies at the end of the turn. You call him to a rearguard circle if you use the ability. And he basically helps unflip damage that you've used when he's called from the drop zone and hollowed. So that's his skill. Now, I run a very odd ratio for certain triggers. But for now, I am going to start with my 4 heals, which are Good Luck Charm, Banshee. I love the Banshees of this clan. They're fun because they remind me of the old sea tale of Banshees. But moving on, for my first set of triggers, I run 4 copies of Rough Seas Banshee and 2 copies of Jimmy the Ghosty. I run 6 crits. I'll just hold up 2 of them so you can see somewhat. With my lighting, I'm sorry about the lighting, but yeah. So yeah, that's what I run for them. Then I run, just do it at a time this time, 2 copies of Garm the Ghosty. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Sorry if I pronounce it wrong. Don't put in the comments, oh, you pronounce it wrong, and try and pronounce the spelling in the comments, because I will still pronounce it the way I pronounce it unless you send me a video link. And 4 of Mick the Ghosty and the Family. Now, if you notice, my other 12 triggers all had effects. Rough Seas Banshee has the ability to act as a draw trigger without giving the 5,000 power. This Ghosty has the power to give 1,000 less than its normal attack power and 2,000 less than what it would give as a stand trigger. In other words, it gives 3,000 power to any unit on the field. This guy, when he's called from drop zone, gives 10,000 power to any unit on the field, on my side of the field, of course, when it's hollowed, and at the end of the turn, when it dies, it shuffles back into deck. So there is that. It's a good ability, I won't lie. Next up is the grade 1s. Now, for this set, it's kind of an unusual thing. I run 2 copies of Gustion, the original granblue Perfect Guard, and then I run 2 from the new current from the starter deck that involved Night Rose. 2 Freddy the Ghosty. The reason I do it this way is because I did not buy 2 of the starter deck to get both Freddys, or to get the 4 set of Freddy, to get all Freddys. So, yeah. There is that. Next up is 4 copies of Tommy the Ghosty Brothers. Now, these are an interesting unit. I'm only going to hold one up because I'm not going to hold all four up. These units allow you to search for a grade 3 called Nitros, as long as you discard a grade 3 when they're called on field. Like when you literally place them. They also have the ability of being what's called in the Vanguard community as Stride Fodder, which means that you could send this card from your hand to the drop zone, and you would still be able to stride that turn, which is basically called a grade 4. Next up is Witch Doctor of Powdered Bone, Negro Bone. Negro Bone's ability, I'm only going to hold up one card, I'm not going to keep holding up the cards. These cards that I just show you. His ability is, he has a Generation Break 1, which I will get into what that means when I get to the grade 4s. Well, actually, I might as well tell you now. It's basically having one face-up grade 4 unit face up in what's known as the G zone, which is basically where the grade 4 unit. It's basically an extra deck. Basically, if you have a card face up in your extra deck, yeah. Anyway, ability at the end of the turn, if this unit boosted a rear guard, and you have a Vanguard with Nitros in its name, you may pay the cost. If you do, retire that unit that was boosted during the battle. Choose one unit with Hollow ability from the drop zone and superior call it. And it doesn't say that you have to call it to the same spot. In other words, that little, you could call this guy and have his effect go off. Or, if you didn't have Grenache on the field, you could call him. Finally, for my grade 1s, is 2 copies of Sea Rumble Banshee. I'm just going to hold up one of the cards. I'll show you one of the cards and just keep holding up while I read the other one's effect. Hollow ability, when it's placed on rear guard, it retires the drop. It dies at the end of the turn. And its drop zone ability, you have to have a face-up grade 4 on the field, obviously, or in your G zone. Choose a counterblast 1, choose one rear guard and retire it, and then call her to the field. Her other ability is when she's placed on rear guard due to her own ability, and she was hollowed, of course, she gains 2,000 power, she becomes a 9k booster. 9,000. She has 9,000 power when used of her own ability. And at the end of the turn, when she dies, you basically flip up her cost. She allows you to undo your cost, also known as a counter charge. Which a counter charge is basically taking a card that's face down like so, and just doing this while in the damage zone. Next up is the grade 2s. Witch Doctor of Legro. That's how I'm pronouncing it. Negro Lazy. I'm only going to be running either. I'm probably going to put another, when I get another copy of him, I'm going to put another copy of him. But his ability goes as such. Obviously, he has hollow abilities, which is a majority of the cards in the deck. Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1, as long as you have a grade 4 unit face up in the extra deck zone. I'm just going to be calling that from now on for the Yugi fans that I might have. When this unit is placed on a rear guard and you have a Vanguard with Nitros in its name, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose up to one grade 2 or less that's not named him. It's not named Negro Lazy from your drop zone, call it to rear guard. And until the end of the turn, this unit gets 2,000 power, meaning Negro Lazy gains another 2,000 power, putting up to 11k. And when he dies, he unflips 1, he unflips, and soul charges, which is basically taking the top card of your deck and placing it into the soul, which is basically putting a card underneath your Vanguard. Next up, which I also plan on getting another copy, is Witch Doctor of the Rotten Sea, Negro Rook. Negro Rook is a fun card. Obviously, hollow ability. He has to have a grade. Have to have a grade 4 face up in the extra deck zone, and when he attacks, he gains 2,000 power to the end of battle. And if this unit is hollowed, this unit gains an extra 5,000 power. So in other words, he goes up to 16,000. on his own. So, yeah. That's, I guess you could say, decent. Next up, 4 copies of Skeleton Cannoneer. Skeleton Cannoneer is basically Blaster Blade, but with the added effect of having Hollow, and able to draw a card. Yeah, so basically, that's, yeah, and Blaster Blade skill is basically Counterblast 2. This guy is actually one last Counterblast 1 while having a grade 4. State 4. Face up in the extra deck zone. I'm just going to call it the extra deck zone for a while. And, yeah, you can retire any unit, any rear guard your opponent has. And if it was hollow, draw a card. That's basically him. And the original countercharge guy, 3-star Chef Pietro. Kind of reminds me of the X-Men. Kind of reminds me of the X-Men character under the same name. Just the shared name thing. What I mean by shared a bit, what I mean by he's the original counterblast unit. When this unit attack hits a Vanguard, and you have a granblue Vanguard, you may choose one card in your damage zone and turn it face up. So, let's say you have... I'm just going to do this. Let's say you have 2 cards like this in your damage zone. Let's say he hits. What? Basically that. That's it for the grade 2s. On to the grade 3s. Which I guess you could say I have some odd ratios as well. I run 2 copies of Ice Prison Hades Emperor Cocytus Reverse. Everyone says reverse, but the card literally spells it as reverse. Also, it's spelled with a backwards R. He's mainly there as a backup unit, so I'm not really gonna. So his ability is he has Lord and the ability, which is something you don't see that often anymore. If you have the original Cocytus, which is Ice Prison Necromancer Cocytus, underneath this guy, he gains an extra. He goes up to 13,000 power at all times, and his ability, which is known as a limit break, which is 4 cards in the damage zone. Doesn't matter if they're face up or face down. You get to put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone. Choose one rear guard and lock it. One of your rear guards. One of the rear guards in the granblue clan. Lock it. Choose one granblue from your drop zone and call it if, and give it 3,000 power. Yeah. Which is fun. So, yeah, that's what he does. Next up is Mighty Rouge Nightstorm. This guy has an interesting effect. He has a hollow ability, his rearguard ability, Generation Break 1, Counterblast 1. Until the end of battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard. If it was hollowed, which most likely will be, you may pay the cost. If you do, choose one card not named Nightstorm from your drop zone and call it to rearguard to a rearguard circle that this guy is not on. Now for Counterblast 1, Soul Blast 1. When this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, you may pay the cost. If you do, look at the top 5 cards of your deck. Search up to 1 card with hollow among them, reveal it to your opponent, and shuffle your put that unit in your hand, shuffle your deck. Basically, if you do this, ride him. You can call in, you can search your deck for another copy of him. He's mainly for rearguard purposes, and he's I tested the deck out well, in practice more or less, and he works decently as getting multiple attacks in. And finally, which if you're running a Night Rose deck, which I am, you will need to run 4 copies of Vampire Princess of Nightfog, Night Rose. I'm going to keep the card up while reading the effect. Okay, she has a turn 1 generation break 1. This ability can only be activated if you have 2 or more cards face up in the extra deck zone. Put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone. When a rear guard is put into the drop zone, you may pay the cost. If you do, call that unit. In other words, this guy dies and you have 4 damage and you don't have any other way of flipping that damage up. His ability would go off. He dies, 2 of your damage comes back. Her ability goes off, he comes back, and then he dies in the same turn. I've actually looked this ruling up, so it's not a rule. Now, for her stride ability, when she's on Vanguard, these are both Vanguard abilities. Counterblast 1, during the turn, when this unit is strode upon, which is basically I just strode. Yeah. You may pay the cost. If you do, choose one card from your drop zone and choose 1 card from your drop zone, just as an example. Superior call to any rearguard circle, and that in the unit gets 2,000 power. The unit that I'm shaking is the unit that gets 2,000 power, not the Vanguard. Decent ability. Actually, it's a really good ability, especially if the deck is... Well, probably you can theoretically get 8 attacks in with the Night Rose and the 7 Seas build. But the 7 Seas build I'm not going to be doing because I don't have the build, nor the cards for the build. Alright, moving on. Next up is Demon Sea Queen. Mordred. 4 copies. This is for the grade 4s. Her ability. Obviously, the cost for this is a unit that equals grade 3 or greater. Basically, a grade 3 or 3 grade 1s or 2 grade 2s or a grade 2 and a grade 1, or or this guy. Then ride on a Vanguard, then place on top of a Vanguard, and turn 1, Counterblast 1, choose any card in your G zone, so you could flip her or another card, or whatever, face up, and then apply the following effect. Choose up to the same number of normal units from your drop zone. Your drop zone as the number of face-up versions of her on the field in the extra deck, where the sum total of their grades are grade 4 or less, and superior call them, and increase this unit's power by the sum total of the units that were called with this effect. So in other words, you could literally call a grade 2 Negro Lazy and 2 Negro Bones. That would equal grade 4. Negro Lazy's skill would go off, then you superior call any other card. Oh, and since we're talking about that, Grenache's skill, Grenache would even be able to go because he's a normal unit and he doesn't contribute to the cost. So you can literally call up to 3 units if you so wish. 2 grade 2s, a grade 1, a grade 2, and a grade 1, and then him just for shits and giggles. Now, the reason I have Cocytus in the deck, which is the next grade 4, Ice Prison Hades Deity Cocytus Negative. Now, the reason I have him in the deck is because he has a fun ability, which I will now read while having him phase up. Alright, obviously this stride pay cost, and then turn 1, Counterblast 1, put the top 3 cards of your deck into the drop zone. If you have a heart card with Cocytus in its name, hence Cocytus Negative, you may choose a card from your drop zone and superior call. If that unit has Cocytus in the name, so again, Cocytus Reverse, you can choose up to you can choose a grade 1 or less from your drop zone and call it to rearguard, and that unit gets 4,000 power. He's only in there as a backup, in case I don't get Night Rose, which I will be replacing him with the 4 copies of the grade 4 Night Rose. But for now, actually I might just keep 2 copies of him and 2 copies of the next guy when I actually get those grade 4s. But for now, Ghosty King Obadash. I'm not sure if I'm pronouncing that correctly. I don't really care at this point. Fun little unit. I'm going to read it. Obviously, the stride cost. And when this unit is placed on Vanguard Circle, search your deck for up to 3 units. Put them into the drop zone, shuffle the deck. If 2 or more of those units had hollow abilities when they were put into the drop zone with this effect, choose up to 1 normal unit with Ghosty in its name from your drop zone and superior call in the same column as this unit. So, in other words, your stride fodder basically comes back for free. Sort of. But a decent unit to open up with. And now for the Generation Guards, which are Eclipse Dragon Halt, Deep Corpse Dragon. Now this guy is fun. I don't even need his power. You pay the cost by sending a heal trigger from your hand to the drop zone. Then you place him on field in your Guardian Circle. Then he only has 15,000 shield. Here's the thing. When you do this, you take the top with this guy. You take the top 2 cards of your deck and put them in the drop zone, and this guy goes up, and this guy's shield goes up to 20,000. This guy is fun. So, the Generation Guards are part of the newest, or fairly new thing. So, yeah, that's my granblue deck. I'm still working on it. Again, I plan on getting the grade 4 version of her, which is Mist Phantom Pirate King Night Rose. I don't remember the ability offhand. I'm not going to go searching for it. But, yeah. The thing with the stride zone, you can only have a total of 16 now. It used to be 8. So you were quite limited on what you could have at that point in time. Now it's limited to 16, so you have a little more leeway with what you have to have 4 spots for the Generation Guard. So it doesn't limit you as much as it did, but it allows you to have 4 extra units that you can use, which can come in handy at times. I mean, it's when in other decks that I've faced, I've been able to win a couple, and these cards have saved my ass quite a few times. I'm still waiting on people to comment on if they want to see me sit here and talk about something. I'm reading an anime series that I like called Log Horizon. This is the 2nd book of the series. So, you know, I'm still reading the 1st one. It's based on an anime which I've watched, or the anime is based off of this book. I've already seen the anime. It's still going in its 2nd season. It's still ongoing. So, yeah. So yeah, if you want to hear me talk about that when I'm finished, please let me know. I finished that, finished another, manga. I'm just gonna show you something here. These books are a bit different. They are manga, but they're more like a book, an actual book. Also, each one has a very fun little thing that they have, which I will demonstrate. They have a colored picture of every single character, or at least the majority of them, and they also have a map of the entire town that they're in, for this one at least. The other one has a backdrop. Also, in between a majority of the chapters, let me find one. Let me find a good one. Give me a second. Sorry about this. Yeah, they have little things like this. So, it's fairly interesting for this series, for the Log Horizon series, because it's the only manga book that I've ever encountered, but, yeah. And, so, yeah, it's fun. If you want to hear me talk about that, Well, put that down in the comments below. If not, leave the comments blank, which has been an ongoing theme at the moment. If you want to hear me talk about anything else, like, say, swords or knives or something, other than card games and mangas and whatever else I could talk about, again, let me know. Literally, put shit in the comments that you want to hear or you want me to talk about, and I will try to accommodate. So yeah, that's pretty much about it. So, Lotaro Gar.